Okay, this afternoon we're going to talk about multiplying large numbers. Now, there are a number of strategies that we can use. The simplest one is probably when we're multiplying numbers by 10 or 100 or 1,000 or 10,000. We're multiplying by something with a 1 and a bunch of zeros after it. So, for example, let's say we had 37 times 100. Now, this is actually a pretty simple problem. All we have to do is realize that there's a 1 there. So we're going to go 1 times 37, which is 37. And then we're going to count how many zeros there are after the 1. And we're just going to take those two zeros and put them over here. And we get the answer is 3,700. Now, similar to that are numbers that are, say, a 3 or a 4 or a 5 or something with some zeros after. So, for example, let's say 45 times 300. Now, it's helpful for us to realize that 300 is just 3 times 100. And so then we're going to do 45 times 3. That might be something you need to multiply in an algorithm to be able to get it. Or there are some strategies, which we've talked about before, mental strategies. But we should be able to recognize that 45 times 3 is 135. 135. And then we have 100. So we just take those two zeros and add them on the end. And we get 13,500, and we're done. Now, not all the numbers, unfortunately, that we multiply are this easy. So if none of these type strategies work, then what we can do is go to an algorithm. As always with algorithms, it's important that you write clearly, you write vertically, and you line all the columns up. So let's try 614 times 14. You notice I've written vertically, neatly, and in straight columns. Now, in order to do an algorithm, all I do is I start with my 4, and I pretend like the 1 isn't even there, and I multiply the 4 times 614, which we've talked about previously. 4 times 4 is 16, which means I have a 1 to carry, so I carry the 1 up there. Then I have 4 times 1 is 4, and I don't multiply again, I add the 1 that I carried over. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 4 times 6 is 24. I would normally carry the 2, but there's nothing more, so I just go ahead and put it there. Now, that's multiplying by 4. Then I have, this is actually 10 plus 4. So I'm now multiplying by 10. And so, remembering what I did up here, I'm just going to take that 0, I'm going to write it down here, there's my 0, and then I'm going to multiply 1 times 614. 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 6 is 6. And then what I have to do is remember I've added those two numbers together, and so that's what I'm doing here is I'm going to add 6 plus 0, 6. 5 plus 4, 9, 4 plus 1 is 5, 2 plus 6 is 8, and I'm done. I'm going to do another example, but it's going to look just a little bit different, and here's why. Remember, we've previously talked about square numbers. They're the result of when we square something. So this is the same thing as 25 times 25. Now, we've talked about mental strategies that might allow you to do that in your head, but if you're not quite prepared to do that yet, do it as an algorithm. 25 times 25. Now remember, keep in mind, 25 is 20 plus 5. We'll just keep that in the back of our head for now. We're going to multiply by 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Carry the 2. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. Now we have our 2 to multiply. It's actually a 20, so we're going to put that 0 down here. And then we're going to multiply again. 2 times 5 is 10, so that's 0. I'm going to carry the 1, and I don't want that 2 there anymore, so I'm going to write a 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. And then, as before, I add them together. 5 and 0 is 5, 2 and 0 is 2, 1 and 5 is 6. and I'm done. And those are strategies that we can use for multiplying large numbers.